Hello, and welcome to another episode of the AI Cash Grain podcast. I'm Satish Nandapurkar, Director of Data Driven Trading at Quantum Hedging, and today is September 20th. As always, before we start, I need to go through our legal disclaimer. We do recommend futures and options trades every now and then on this podcast, and the risk of loss in futures and options trading is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. So with that, let's get to this past week in markets. Corn was down 12 cents. Beans were up 6 cents. Can't help to think they're just kind of chopping around a little bit. We'll go to Cy first, and he'll give us his view as we get into harvest here of what the traditional traders are thinking and what they're looking for. As always, we'll then go to Kevin, who'll talk about the models and what they're saying for corn and beans. The models are saying pretty much what they said last week, which is sideways, maybe a tiny bit up in corn, maybe a tiny bit down in beans, and then sideways. But look at those confidence intervals. They're kind of wide. It could go up or down, but models are kind of saying we don't expect a lot of movement in the next month and a half in either corn and soybeans. It's really a sideways type of thing. And therefore, as a result, our simulations, when they take the model predictions into account, the forecasts into account, our simulations are saying we're mid-month, let's just hold. We're 70% sold in corn, which matches our benchmark. We're 70% sold in beans, which matches the benchmark. We're ahead of the game. We're winning. We're winning nicely in corn. We're winning a little bit in beans. Let's take the win. So right now, the models are saying, let's stay with a hold. So with that, I'll come back and talk about that a little bit more. But let me turn it over to Cy. Cy, you think we're going to get any significant movement in the next couple of months in either corn and beans?
Thanks, Satish. We still have the same stories we did last week. Harvest is coming. We think the next couple weeks you probably have a cap on the highs as farmers are in the fields and getting these crops out of the ground. The pressure should come for a couple weeks, specifically in corn. The one I'm a little worried about is beans. And traders are really talking about this biodiesel story and the soybean oil story. There was a report that came out on Oil World talking about the oils need to go up 20% based on the growth of biodiesels and the tightness in global oils. So, on balance sheet, the bean market feels like it should go to $9. But I tell you what, if we're going to be grinding for soy oil in the next 6 months, this could get a little interesting if there's any weather hiccups in South America. So in the traders world, it's okay, you break, but keep one eye open for soy oil, as that should start to take the leadership. We talked about this over the last month, but it's really starting to unfold. So in the event we kind of see a harvest low for beans, maybe our models start to pick up on that. Kevin, have our models changed for beans at all or corn?
Hey, thanks, Cy. The models continue to kind of suggest pretty tame markets as we balance out the remainder of the growing season. Our corn model is kind of flat along the lines of where we're at today, around 401. A little bit of chance getting up into the 410, 420 range. But again, no real big changes here in terms of big movements. Probabilistically, we're still sitting at, call it around $4 for the end of September, which will be into next week, and then maybe a chance to move a little higher as we get into the balance of October. Overall, as we kind of look forward, we see the models kind of showing not a ton of upside, but maybe some further strength beyond harvest. So we can talk about that down the road. In beans, the bean model kind of flipped a little bit after we did climb up to the kind of 10-13 mark we were looking for. Now it's suggesting we might move down a little bit before returning back. So again, really both the models at this point in the season are just kind of saying there's not much left here, just kind of seasonal tendency. So probably not a big change in pricing as we get done cutting the rest of this crop.
Thanks for that, Kevin. And again, we get to the recommendation section. As I said, we're holding in both corn and soybeans. And that's really because our goal is to beat our benchmark, the typical producer cash sale index, which sells a predetermined percentage of expected bushels each month from January through October. Our goal is to beat that benchmark price, this unmanaged benchmark price, by sometimes being undersold or oversold relative to the benchmark. That's how we beat it. In corn, we're nicely ahead of the game because we got oversold at the end of May, just before a big crash in the price of corn. We stayed oversold up until the end of August, and that really helped our average price. We're 13 cents ahead of the benchmark as of today. We last sold 10% at the end of August, and we're now neutral against the benchmark in corn. And this week, we are holding that neutral position. And we're tracking to about a 10 cent, 9.5 cent outperformance by the end of the program at the end of October. With respect to beans, we did get oversold a bit at the end of May, but we didn't catch, our models didn't catch the continued drop in July and August. We got neutral too soon. We've stayed neutral against the benchmark. Because we got oversold in May, we are ahead of the benchmark. We're about 7 cents ahead. We're tracking to about a 4.8 cent beat by the end of the program when you average all the bushels in. But it would have been great to catch that drop from the beginning of July to really the end of August. But if I have to criticize our models, that's where we didn't catch it in our simulations, was that particular period. But again, a win is a win. This is a win by, call it 1 run in baseball parlance. Corn, we're winning by 3 or 4 runs, which is great in baseball parlance again. So just a quick summary of this week. Cy came on and talked a bit about corn and soybeans. Corn was down. Beans were up. We've been chopping around a little bit. Really, in both cases, it's about harvest. Corn, maybe there's a little bit of China story in here. Maybe will demand drop coming out of China. In beans, there's an oil story going on. But there's nothing that's really been in the models that we're picking up that says that corn or beans will do much other than go sideways at this point, with slight movements one way or the other. And as a result, because we are mid-month, we're neutral in corn, we're neutral in beans with this sideways forecasts. We want to be neutral, so we're staying right in line with the benchmark. The benchmark is 70% sold in corn and beans. We're both 70% sold, but we're ahead of the game. We got oversold at the right time at the beginning of the summer. We got oversold a lot in corn. We held that oversale. We got oversold some in beans. We didn't hold it long enough, but we're well ahead of the game in corn. We're a little bit ahead of the game in beans. We're beating both benchmarks like we thought. Corn, we're beating them nicely. We're in the middle of a month. We don't see much movement one way or the other. So the simulations and the models are saying stay conservative and stay neutral to the benchmark. We are, 9 days away, 10 days away from the end of the month. So we will be getting a rec probably mid of the following week as we hit that end of a month. But for this month, we have nothing to add other than to stay where we are, stay pat, and be patient as data comes in. Again, thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being a subscriber. This is the AI Cash Grain podcast, and we'll be right back here next week for you with the recommendations and obviously for the end of September.